We need to kind of, for the people who especially have not seen the show before, they need to get to know Dunky. Let's see what's going on in his world. A couple episodes, Day in the Life, season 1, right? He's a crazy guy.
Yeah, we need to know kind of about the Dunkster, his big moments. What makes the Dunk Man the Dunk Man?
The next episode we have is Band of Brothers. And I think this came out before the awesome HBO hit. So fuck you, Band of Brothers. This was first. It starts out with a monk in a sanctuary, and a dude is getting hunted.
He's doing the Elaine's knife in the back dance from Airplane.
Over the top bad guy with really done up hair, blow dried and shit.
The interesting thing is the character Darius, he appears a couple of times, doesn't he?
Oh, quite a bit in the first season.
And then he died, and then the actor died.
Oh, no.
Yeah, that's why he was never brought up again.
Oh, shit.
Is that why?
Yes.
Well, it's not that he just disappeared off the show. He was killed by evil Watcher.
But what, did he die and then they did one of those scenes where he's shot from behind?
Oh, you know what? That guy, shit balls. What was his name? You see him and 2 or 3 thugs getting out of their car and walking into the church. And I don't think you ever see Darius in that episode. Holy shit. Is that what happened? The original intention was for him to be the Mythos-like character because they introduced him as, the oldest immortal. And he was a goth. That's how he came up. And he eventually, a lot of the people that fought against the Roman Empire eventually got co-opted by and started working as their version of Janissaries and mercenaries for him. So he was sort of a Roman soldier / Roman general, but he was always a goth originally. He had the first light quickening.
The legend has it that Darius killed the holy man at the gates of Paris, the oldest living immortal at the time. And suddenly he changed. He turned his back on war.
You think that this holy guy's quickening went to Darius and made him good?
Is there some sort of homoerotic overtones between those two characters? Because this guy's still pissed off about that. And this is, over 1,000 years later.
Yeah. Just let it lie, man.
Oh, Grayson, the main bad guy?
Yeah. Because he really, really is angry about that. I mean, who goes around bringing this much revenge on a person?
Yeah, that's true, actually. Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, if you're 1,000 years old, maybe you want to try something new this time around,
Right.
Then also just from Roman times and stuff, maybe they just, did whatever.
That also brings up the idea, is the gathering
a big gay orgy?
Is this a compulsion or is it a prediction about what's going to happen? I mean, are they all forced to come together to fight each other until there's only one? If that's the case, then Darius is just wasting everyone's time with his teachings.
True.
When it gets down to 3, what happens if they just go, there can be only 3? Why don't we just go, you take 1/3 of the world, I'll take this third, and you go take that third?
Apparently it seems to be something they have to do.
We keep having these discussions as we watch the episodes, and they never go into any of that stuff, but that's probably a good thing because keeping that mystery is what kept the show still interesting 30 years later. If they start answering all that stuff, the answers would never be as good as
don't tell us how Boba Fett got out of the Sarlacc pit. We don't want to know.
Much like we said last episode, they do try to answer some of these questions, and that's how you get Highlander 2: The Quickening. So thankfully they stopped.
All right, fine. I'll go with that. But again, if the gathering is something these people have to do, then everything Darius is trying to do is doomed to fail anyway. He's trying to convert the immortals into this peaceful sect, and one after one, he's sending them out, and they're all getting whacked. Then if they can control it, that means there can be more than one.
So it seems like you can control it, but it seems the more evil, power-hungry ones want it enough that it doesn't matter that you're kind of forced into having to do it.
Well, okay, the idea of the gathering, at least in the first film, and I don't know how much of the first film we're going to be jettisoned in order to watch the series, but it seemed like they were all pulled to New York City. There was nothing they could do.
Okay, here's a question. You're watching Highlander and you're like, okay, Connor probably isn't actively hunting down people in his territory, or maybe he is. I don't know. They don't really get into that. But I assumed in the first parking garage fight that he has when we're getting introduced to the characters, that Polish motherfucker is after him. And they meet at a WWE thing.
Yeah.
Which one of the motherfuckers intentionally went to WWE? That can fight better than like 99.999% of the humans on the planet. So I'm going to go to wrestling.
80s wrestling, man. It's not about the fighting. It's about the plot lines, you know?
I thought it was Connor actually watching it, and then the other guy showed up.
Yeah, because he seems surprised when the guy shows up, and he even tries to tell him to wait.
Yeah, so I think he was there just enjoying wrestling, and then
He's like a trashy, low-class dude.
He can't possibly take down the Macho Man Savage.
he's from an inbred clan up in the mountains in Scotland.
I wish I could harness the power of Hulkamania for the quickening.
So Grayson, I feel like there was a whole like wasted opportunity with that character. He seemed like a pretty cool character.
He could have been a recurring villain, yeah.
He's generic 90s bad guy. He looks a lot like a lot of the other generic bad guys that they have in this, where the hair is a little bit like weirdly blow-dried. And
He looked like the guy from Wings.
oh,
The little backstory they gave between him and Darius, I didn't realize that he died this episode. I thought he was going to be one of those recurring villains.
There's very few recurring villains.
yeah, there are very few.
Nobody survives Dunky-Mac.
Are they actually in Canada, or are they trying to be a American city?
Intentionally written as it was a dual production company. It was a Canadian and a French production company. And they decided when they were writing it that they were going to do half of the season in Vancouver and half of the season in Paris. So this episode, one of the reasons why I like picking it is because it kind of shows him ending up in Paris, going to Paris, what his connection to Paris was. It was Darius. That's where his whole abbey was. But yeah, and I don't think they do it every single season, but most seasons it's divided half and half between Vancouver and Paris. And that was intentional from the beginning. This episode was not a big Richie episode. Once again, he's doing the sidekick thing. It was funny because throughout the episode, they're doing a mom and dad are fighting, so I'm angsty. Because there was a lot of tension between Dunky and Tess about, oh, you're going to France? You're going to France? That's my Netherlands accent. And Richie the whole time is just like, they're fighting. Let me make a joke. Look at me. Like Chandler and Friends. He starts like dancing just to relieve tension.
Guess who I am?
Look what you're doing to Chandler!
That was pretty much Richie's whole role in this thing, right?
Is he an immortal at this point, or no?
No. That doesn't happen until season 2.
He hasn't been killed yet? Okay.
No, it doesn't really put out that he's immortal yet.
Duncan's like a good guy, and he's helping out this kid that tried to steal from him. Is Richie like kind of, you think he'd be like a little tense? Like, is Duncan going to try to like fuck me? So Darius needs help because his proteges, not all of them are immortals. Some of them are just humanitarians that he's fostering and mentoring. He needs help. So what does he do? He sends a message to Dunky for help. And you know what he does? He sends him a bunch of fucking jigsaw runes.
I like that. I thought that was pretty cool because it's a code that only they know.
Just write a fucking letter. Who's he trying to like hide the code from? Haste is obviously needed because Grayson's tearing through all his mentees, all his proteges, right?
That's exactly it, though. So if it ever gets intercepted, he won't be able to tell what the message
It's a
is.
good bet that Grayson probably knows that code as well.
I set about writing down the word Grayson and scrambling it up. And you know what I came up with? Ron's gay. What if Dunky took the thing and he scrambled it down and said Ron's gay, and then he had a flashback? He's probably known like 100 Rons. He's known throughout the centuries a shitload of Rons and Ronalds and Ronnies. And suddenly somebody drops like a weight on him that Ron's gay.
Ron, no. You are such a manly man.
Darius was really like playing fast and loose with his information. We find out that Grayson, who I thought was kind of a douchebag, we find out that he's actually 1,800 years old compared to Dunky's like not even 500 years. And so they have an immortal training montage where he's all like, I'm going to pose with my sword for 5 minutes. Montage.
And it felt like a P90X commercial. What was with that giant weird log they were flipping around?
Yeah, the big rotating log thing.
Yeah.
Just buy a jump rope.
That seems like an incredibly elaborate way to jump rope. Is that like how it was done on the Scottish Highlands or something? That's just a huge amount of effort when you can just spend $250 and you get a jump rope from Target.
That was a little bit weird. It was cool that throughout they actually, and this is probably the first episode where they acknowledged the power. I don't know exactly the mechanics of it, but apparently, just been fighting battles and cutting heads for 1,800 years. That's got to add up. So Dunky had no expectation of being able to beat Grayson. He thought he was going to die at the end of it when he went for the big showdown.
Duncan MacLeod can really rock a turtleneck. I wish I could do it that good. I mean, I'm jealous.
Here's a thought. He's routinely going to be assaulted by guys who want to cut off his head, and he wears lots of turtlenecks.
Interesting. Yeah, what if they're reinforced?
Yeah, little Kevlar, little band of steel.
Oh.
Yeah, and we never know because nobody ever gets to chop the head of the Dunk. After the training montage, they know that Grayson's hanging around and coming for revenge. So what does Duncan do? He immediately leaves Tessa all by herself.
You have misjudged him terribly. So you'd better kill me now and be done with it.
Tell him. I'll be in touch.
That was a good scene.
Like every 5 minutes, Tessa is being left alone and Immortals come and fuck with her. You'd think she'd have some kind of words for Dunky about this.
That's why Duncan keeps her around. She's bait.
Yeah.
Yes, I love her, but she is also bait.
I think he would have kept a beeper that she can call real quick.
Then they have the Napoleonic War flashback. Waterloo, 1815. All episode long, including the flashback when he first meets Darius, as well as further instances where Grayson comes upon him, the immortal detection range has been minimized to about 5 feet in this episode. Right? Isn't that weird? Darius is 5 feet away from him when he first notices him, and they do that 2 or 3 times this episode. It's weird. It's inconsistent. I don't like it.
Maybe there's some lead lining or something.
He was wearing a tinfoil hat.
Yeah, exactly.
And
it blocks off his immortal psychic beams.
So if I watch it back in editing, and when Darius takes off his hood, if there's a aluminum foil crinkling noise, we'll know we're onto something.
Or it could also be an ability, like Star Wars. They have the ability to hide from the other Force users.
He is old, therefore maybe he has more immortal powers.
He also hasn't killed in a long time. Maybe his gathering energy is low.
Yeah, we're really stretching here for something that really just comes down to, inconsistent writing.
Yeah, this show is plagued by inconsistencies and retcons, so thus goes most shows anyway.
I liked how his accent was thicker in the past.
I was raised a warrior. I choose battles I believe to be just.
And he was rocking a basket hilt claymore, too. He wasn't carrying no damn katana.
Yeah, he was.
So he was with a Scottish regiment doing his duty for his homeland, or what have you. They had more Tessa riding Dick side boob.
Yes.
Tessa side boob, yes.
My wife watched that episode with me, and she's like, man, people don't actually have sex in that position. The one where the two people are sitting up and grinding against each other.
Oh, yeah.
You're positioned directly, properly on your penis.
This is a family show.
It's the most fucked up family I've heard of.
They had the intrepid blonde reporter. And
intrepid reporter.
We skipped a few episodes, so they might have introduced her because she seemed to know who Dunky-Mac is.
Speaking of reoccurring characters, there's another interesting aspect about this first season. They did insert a lot of minor characters that pop up in these episodes that they totally jettison them. There's that cop, that black cop that shows up a lot in the first season. And the media girl, they kept building these characters up, and then once he goes to France, they never see him again. And then the next season, they don't use him at all.
It's like on Baywatch when they had that Luigi guy that hung around and wanted to date Pam Anderson. And most shows will try out a character and it fails. She's one of the failed ones. Did y'all recognize who she was?
Yeah, why does she look familiar?
She is in the first Nightmare on Elm Street. Amanda Weiss is her name. Tina Gray is what she played. But yeah, she was in the first one with Johnny Depp.
Yeah, she's co-starred with the Deppster.
Duncan saves Jeff Goldblum.
So after he saves him, he goes and he gets back into his car, and the intrepid reporter is hiding in his car. Was she there all day? Was she crouched down underneath the dashboard for 6 hours?
Well, the funny thing is Richie was in the trunk. That's totally a Richie thing. So the build-up for the end fight was cool because Tessa knew that Duncan was going to die. Duncan knew he was going to die, but he had to go anyway. The scenery of the fight at that big-ass sulfur mine.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Probably the best thing they've had so far. That was a really good... And they're farting around in, like, the yellow, sulfury sand.
Speaking of farting around, could you imagine how much that place stunk?
I know. The eggs... rotten egg smell would have been pervasive.
Good God. Don't fight here. Let's just both agree to go elsewhere.
They work the scenery. They probably covered like a good 100 yards, roll down the hill of sulfur. Shit's happening. He's clearly getting a beat down. He's disarmed. But Grayson forgot to, he goes, there can be only one, and steps for the head cut, but he forgot to guard against the kick. the kick maneuver.
In the middle of all that fight, we get to see, as the camera flashes by, a random grip in the background. That was great.
I missed that.
There's like Gus in the background. Just watching the show.
God.
I love when that happens. Could he have been a sulfur worker?
He could have. Yes, we were coming up with all sorts of in-canon theories. My theory is that that was actually a hint for later on when they have the Watchers. He was one.
Oh, he was a Watcher.
Watcher.
That makes so much sense.
My God, how did I miss that? I'm looking at this clip, and it's like, the guy's obviously standing right there.
Yep. You guys sword fighting over there, eh? How's that going?
Let's be civil.
He's like, I'm kind of regretting taking that overtime now. Who's going to clean this shit up?
Luckily, if I get cut, I'll have health care.
Good thing we all... They did have the really awesome quickening in a citywide cloud of sulfuric acid.
Yeah, and after all that talk about absorbing souls and Dark Duncan and all, nothing happens. He just absorbs his soul. Goes on with the day.
Yeah, 1,800 years of this guy. Let's say this guy maybe wasn't evil. Maybe he just hated Darius and all that he stood for. So I don't know.
It was a homosexual spat.
Oh, did Duncan just get a little gayer?
Well, think about it. He cuts off this guy's head and then immediately moves to Gay Paris.
Yeah!
And he brings Richie along, too.
Yeah, he brings his cabana boy Richie along.
Oh, and he's living on a boat.
He's on a boat. He's on a barge.
I think I'm going to hang out on the barge, catch up on my reading while you bring home the bacon.
Barge? What barge?
Oh, I forgot to tell you about the barge.
Let's take it beyond the 3-mile limit. Anything goes.